So just wanted to give you some very high-level thoughts, bring it down to the 10,000 foot and see how this might be affecting our own industry. And now we're going to really go for the deep dive, what everyone's been waiting for. I'm going to let my panel now say a few words, and then we're going to get into some Q&A. And I think we're going to start with David.
Thanks, Jeff. So again, my name is David Keller. I work at Leviton Manufacturing. And so how are we using social media? We're a 100-plus-year-old electrical manufacturer, and we're using social media to actually talk directly to the end user and to the customer. We've never had that ability to do before. And the reality is that it helps us get brand awareness out there, and it balances the playing field, as Jeff said. I mean, Facebook has 500 million people on it, and the reality is it doesn't matter if you're Pepsi, Coke, or Leviton. And the reality is that when you have people going on to Facebook, you know, like my wife, 17 times a day, sometimes 25 times a day, and you're on that wall, you're going to have that brand awareness go out there. And as Jeff and Scott also said previously this morning, you know, the reality is that people are talking about us, about your brand. It doesn't matter if you're B2B, B2C. The reality is that Facebook, Twitter, and all the other different social media applications, people are talking about your company. So let's look at real numbers. The reality is that Leviton has a social media strategy. We launched Facebook in January of this year, so approximately 3 months ago. We have over 6,500 fans of Leviton. We launched a YouTube brand channel earlier this year as well in January. We have over 13,000 hits on our YouTube channel. And it's not just me hitting refresh. I know people think that I'm hitting refresh every 2 seconds. And the reality is that we also launched a forum, a Q&A section on our website back in September of last year, so it's approximately 8 months old. We have almost 475,000 views on all of our different Q&A questions that contractors or end users or Leviton personnel have posted with answers. I mean, so the reality is that even as a B2B boring electrical manufacturer, social media is being embraced.
Hi there, I'm Carrie Johnson with Graybar. My role at Graybar is to oversee both our internal communications with our employees as well as our external PR and marketing communications efforts. So the neat thing about what Graybar is doing with social media is that we're using it both internally to drive collaboration among our employees and collaboration with suppliers, customers, and employees, as well as externally on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So internally, just to give you a quick snapshot, we have a wiki that we've been using for several months, and it's used right now for some very specific purposes internally to collaborate. When you have 7,000 employees scattered across the country, this is a great way that we can work together on documents, on ideas, and on projects. So a wiki is one tool that we're using internally. We are getting ready to launch an executive blog as well, and we're excited about how that's going to enhance our communication with our employees. There's a lot of potential in Microsoft SharePoint internally, and that's kind of a way to get your feet wet with some social media applications that you can put behind your firewall and engage with your employees that way. Externally, we have a Twitter feed that we've been using for several months with 930 followers last I checked. We also have a Facebook page. We've taken it a little bit slowly because if you were in the last session, you learned a lot about your technology plumbing, and we had a little technology plumbing issue that we had to improve on. So we've intentionally taken our time on the external facing social media just because we wanted to get our website to a place where it could really support it so that we could do some of the things that David's been talking about. So we're really excited about where it's going and how we can use it both internally to engage with our employees and externally to engage with the industry.
I'm Troy Freeland. I'm the Senior Sales Manager with National Account Responsibility. So I'm sitting up here with all the powerful marketing people. Our marketing folks I can assure you are very nervous sitting back at corporate right now, wondering what I'm going to say. From a sales perspective, I thought I was really prepared. They sat down with me, but then I sat through Scott's presentation at the general session. I thought, well, maybe there's a reason they didn't come. But we've been on Facebook we started in March of 2010, and we have almost 2,800 friends, followers. We also are on Twitter. We have about 450 followers on Twitter. We, being a small, mid-sized manufacturer, we don't have the big marketing budgets and things of that sort, so we allocate the time, and the 15% that Jeff had mentioned up there is about what we are able to allocate. We also use an outside PR firm to sort of remind us and keep us to be socially active. And they do a very good job helping us make sure that we try to post something at minimum once per week. We don't always hit that, but we're really trying to get not only our message out, which we can control via social media, which is very important for all of you, but more importantly, we get feedback. And obviously, you're going to get positive feedback. You're going to get some maybe criticism or some suggestions is the way we look at it. And the key for those is to make sure that you respond quickly and you acknowledge them and you correspond back with the people that are showing interest in your site or what you're doing out there. We do a number of things from new product launches. We run a number of promotions through distribution, so we post a lot of the promotions out there. And we try to do little creative things. We try to keep it fun and fresh. We do everything from, we'll put a picture out of a code violation, and we'll ask the followers, tell us, first 5 people that get back to us and tell us what the issue is or what the problem is, we'll send them out something. At Christmas time, we sent out a gift, what do they call it, a giveaway to our top 150. We sort of looked at our followers and figured out which ones were the true electrical contractors, and we sent them a gift basket with some product and some literature and some samples and things like that. So we just try to really drive that communication. And just a real fun thing we did, we have a person in our company that has an ideal tattoo. I could tell you where, but we took a picture. Nor will I tell you who, and it's not me. We took a picture of that tattoo, we posted it, and within a day or two, we had another picture from one of our followers. It's an electrician that has a ideal T-stripper tattooed on his neck. And there's a gentleman that has a bender head tattooed on his elbow, so when he flexes his elbow, the bender head moves back and forth. So we're all about building the brand. I don't know if we're looking to go to that extent, but those are some of the things that you're going to find when you get out there.
We promised you real world, and there's nothing more real world than that. So I just want to go back to something, and you had mentioned Carrie. You used a term, and you talked about a wiki. Now, some of us think that that's a big, brown, hairy creature from Star Wars, but it's something else. Can you just give us a quick definition?
It is something else. Probably the easiest way for me to describe it to you is if you've ever used Wikipedia, you know where the content comes from. It comes from millions and millions of people around the world. So it's a very collaborative place where we can all go and meet and collaborate around content. It's really around the content and working together around that content to stay in touch and post questions and all of that. It is behind our firewall. So it's something that right now we're primarily using internally, although we've done some work with that with our suppliers as well.
Great, thank you. So I'm going to start out by throwing a few questions out to the panel, and then we're going to take a few from the audience. So I told you to keep your mind worrying, because we want some of those tough ones, especially David. He's getting the first. But no, for seriously, we talk about Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and all these different platforms. How do we pick, and if you could make a suggestion to the audience, where's the best place to start? And why don't we start, Carrie, if you could kind of continue after speaking about.
Sure.
And maybe it's not YouTube. Maybe a wiki is a good place to start.
To answer that question, I would say it depends a lot on your organization's comfort level. with the technology. If there is hesitation to go external, try some internal things first, like a wiki, like SharePoint, like an internal blog. Get your feet wet with something like that where you have a controlled environment and you can work with those tools to raise that comfort level. If you do have good executive support and a good collaboration with your legal team and your IT team, I think Twitter is a great place to start. There's a lot of good business application, and a lot of our industry is on Twitter. So if you follow the correct organizations on Twitter and retweet their posts, that's a great place to start. LinkedIn is also really, really useful for finding those leads and those connections of people you know within your organization and who they know that can help you grow business.
So the reality is that, I mean, all those things that you mentioned, Jeff, are very good, but the real reality is that you have to be focused and you have to really know what you want to do and have a strategy behind it. It's not one of those things that you can twiddle your thumbs and say, oh, you know what, let me do Facebook today. You have to have it on. We post, I know, Troy, you mentioned that you post once a week. We probably post 4 times a week, maybe even 5 sometimes. We try and get our message out every day to the followers, and it's not one of those things that we can go out 2 weeks without posting or something, because then people will say what's going on with no new content. So a focus is very important.
Troy, did you want to add?
As for us, the same thing. We're focused, but we don't have the resources, so to speak. So you still can get in it. You still can take advantage of it, and you've just got to be focused and committed to it. You got to make sure that if you put stuff out there, you get excited about it, you put it out there, and then you stop, you're going to do yourself more harm than just not doing it at all. And then for us, it's like we said, keeping it fresh, giving them a reason to consistently come to your site and look at things you're doing.
Who's in charge of social media at your companies? How do we, thinking about the audience, who do we go to, right? This crosses a number of different constituencies, right? You're obviously talking here about marketing and sales, but it's a bigger picture than that, isn't it?
For our company, we have marketing communications, obviously, is sort of the driver and the creative piece. We have the outside PR firm, but then you've got the whole IT piece. That we have a customer portal that, they sort of run that. So we've put a sort of committee together to address the situation that includes marketing, sales has input in it, and then also with your IT.
For us at Graybar, it's the corporate and marketing communications team. It takes the lead, but we collaborate very closely with the HR team. If you're looking at recruiting opportunities, we want to be sure we're in sync with what HR is doing, as well as, to Troy's point, the IT team is very involved from a security standpoint, as is legal. So, but we are the point team is corporate and marketing communications.
And I guess this is the time for me to kiss up to management. So I'm very happy to say that the Leviton executive team has formed a new group called e-Business that is the hub for all this social media digital marketing that then interacts with all the IT infrastructure, legal for any legal ramifications, but then all the different product groups, all product management. So we are the hub for all of this to go out to the internal and external user base.
So it sounds like there's a couple of layers that we need to go through to get to that promised land where your organizations are starting to go.
Yes.
He said with a smile.